All right, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to another Ham Hock Tuesday. I've got a good group tonight. So tonight's live stream is a little bit of I mean, I hate to say it, but like, a giving back or exposing other channels, whatever it may be. But it's really just trying to introduce you guys or anybody who may not be familiar with other people within the WhiskeyTube community, is that there's a lot of other people. I mean, there's a lot of really good channels out there. So if there was anything that I could do, my small part was, to get other people to understand that there are a lot of other good, whiskey review channels, whatever that may be. And to have them come on, talk a little bit about their channels and all of that was something that, I mean, I think it's important for a lot of us who have these platforms, to do these things. So without further ado, I'm going to bring them all on. I've got three good ones. Chris from Big League Bourbon, Troy from Pop 'em, Don't Watch 'em, Adriana from Whiskey Mountains. So I was told before we went live the actual pronunciation of her name. So I can see her in the back room. She's laughing, but the last thing I want to do is call anybody by the wrong name. So, all right, guys, here we go. So one at a time. Here we go. Chris, my man, how's it going?
Good. How you doing tonight, Scott?
Pop 'em. And Adriana, there she is. Okay. So, hey, guys and lady, thank you so much for joining me tonight. And, tonight is about you guys. Like we were talking a little bit before, I want to do my part, whatever that may be, to have other people understand, your personalities, your channels, what you guys have to offer people. Because, I mean, Lord knows, I've watched all of you and your channels, and all of them are vastly different, all in a good way. And I think there's a bit of something in each of your channels that somebody, that somebody can, take a little bit of something from. So I guess with that being said, who wants to start? Actually, we got to start out with ladies first. So, Adriana, why don't you, for anybody who doesn't know already, I guess share a little something about you and maybe kind of what your channel is all about.
Yeah. So basically, if you haven't seen my channel, which most of you probably haven't, I go hiking with whiskey. I live in Utah. I moved here for grad school, and I've always loved the outdoors, but if you haven't been to Utah, it's not just Mormons. It's also gorgeous mountains. And so I really enjoy just going on hikes with a bottle of whiskey and doing a review of a whiskey and kind of trying to give you an idea. Say you're interested in hiking or camping or something, like, would this maybe be a good option for outdoors, but also just a general review of that whiskey. That's kind of my thing. So, and also for any ladies in the chat, I also posted this for Women of Whiskeys, the whiskey world is very highly concentrated with Y chromosomes. And I thought that just maybe we could use a little bit more balance in that. So I kind of wanted to start my channel because of that. But yeah.
Well, and it's important. I think it's important that you did that because, now as you are very well aware of, there has been a big push in all of that. So
somebody might have their volume on watching the YouTube on their own.
I don't think that's me. Is anybody else hear that?
Am I the only one hearing that? No, sorry. If I'm the only one hearing that, then it's
I can't hear you guys at all.
No, I can hear it.
Okay, you can hear it too.
Troy, can you hear us?
Sorry.
All right, so maybe it's on Troy's end. Maybe he needs to kind of pop out. Chris, you can hear me. Adriana, you can hear me.
Yep, just fine.
All right, Troy,
I can't hear you.
Okay, I'm gonna get rid of him real quick, and then I better not ban him. But let me see if I can. How do I get? All right, Troy, go out and come back in. All right. I don't know if he understands or not. All right, here we go. Okay. All right. So he can come back. Actually, I don't know if how about now? Can you hear us now?
Troy, can you hear us? Are you good? Oh, are you just staring?
All right. We got, let's see. Can I boot him out of here real quick?
Thanks, Bourbon Buddies. Bourbon Buddies that they just subscribe to all 3 channels.
All right, good. Well, that's
awesome.
the important part. All right. Hey, Troy, go out and come back in. All right.
Go
all
out
right.
and then come back in.
I don't know if I can. There we go. Okay, so we'll see if that reconnects. And I think that was the mistake before. So, all right, I got to go back real quick, and then Chris, we'll go to you. I got to real quick. Thanks, Young. I really appreciate it, and I think they all appreciate it. So subscribe to all these guys. Once Troy figures out what he's doing on his end, we'll get everybody in here. So thank you so much. We had somebody else come in real quick before.
Maureen Franchi, I think.
Maureen Franchi, how you going? Oh, thank you so much. That's awesome. Oh, and that's $20 for Adriana. Good. Look at that. You get now you've moved to the top. So who's gonna trump Maureen there? So
Maureen, if you're not in Women of Whiskeys on Facebook, and maybe you already are.
Yeah, and hopefully everybody, like I said, hopefully everyone is subscribing to everybody tonight. So that's the important part.
She actually said she was your 200th subscriber the other day.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we just hit 200. That's awesome. Okay, I didn't realize that.
It's a big milestone. I mean, think of 200 people, right? That's a lot. I mean, it's really a lot of people. When you think of 200 people doing something, maybe potentially watching your videos at one time. I mean, to get 200 people to do anything it's pretty impressive, Yeah. So, all right, let's give this another try.
Awesome. We back.
We're back. All right. It might have been a bad connection or something. So, all right.
I don't know what was going on with that.
Chris, why don't you share a little bit about you and why and how you kind of started the Big League Bourbon whiskey channel, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no problem. My name is Chris Luddig. I recently started this channel, Big League Bourbon, because what's more American than baseball and bourbon? Two great things that we can all share, and there's stories to be told about the bourbon and stories to be told about baseball. And I come from a baseball background, former Division I player. I played minor league baseball in the Pittsburgh Pirates system. I'm connected to a lot of former minor league players and major league baseball players. And we have our own whiskey group. We actually got a couple picks coming out that we've done, which is pretty exciting. So I decided to share that. And with it, I get to drink some bourbon, drink some good whiskeys, and bring on former players that can share great stories with everyone out there. And you get to get the curtain peeled back a little bit. So you get to see what happens or what goes through guys' minds, or maybe you get to hear about some crazy stories that you've never heard before that maybe the big league guys know or the minor league guys know, but the general public doesn't get to know. And that's what makes it interesting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, like you kind of nailed it, because, the big leaguers and those guys love telling stories, now whether they are enjoying bourbon, but now it's become even more of a platform for them to just have even more of an opportunity to share their stories and have another connection outside of the baseball world. Because, I mean, there's an awful lot of guys that in the baseball world, when you retire, you are retiring fairly young still in your life. You may be an old baseball player, but when you retire at, let's just say 40, I mean, that's on the old side, but let's say 40, you think about what you do from the time you're 40 for the rest of your life. I mean, you're still a young guy. So trying to figure out the rest of your life and what you're going to do can be a pretty important and difficult thing to do. So having an outlet for that is important. So, definitely. All right. Last but not least, Troy from Pop 'em, Don't Watch 'em. Let's get ready to rumble.
Hey, that's the enthusiasm. That's what I try to bring to the channel. Honestly, the channel started as a thing in my bourbon group. It's the Louisiana Bourbon Collective. We're statewide. We're the biggest group in the state. And last year I put together literally an NCAA style blind bracket. It was like 60 something bourbons, and we had a different region, and I did them blind and came down into a bracket. So the first 2 videos I filmed, it was just, I put it in Facebook, and I got such a great reaction to it. I said, all right, well, maybe we should, put this on YouTube. It's a little different. Let's see what we can do. So I put it on YouTube, and it took off. I really knew I had something when some of the guys were like, man, my wife will come in the living room and they're like, you watching people drink bourbon? How can you watch that? And then they would watch it and they'd say, oh, now wait a minute, I can watch this guy. He's pretty entertaining. So that's when I knew. I said, okay, well, maybe we have something, and now it's taken off to where it is now. Help of guys like Scott and Mash and Drum, Jason, and the community, especially the LBC. The Louisiana Bourbon Collective has been huge in getting the channel to grow. I think I'm over 6,000 views in just 2 months. I mean, to me, that sounds pretty good. I don't know in the grand scheme of things. Now, the subscribers I'm trying to get up. Once I got to that 100, then they started really, it started really coming.
Yeah.
But other than that, we're down here in Louisiana. We enjoy our bourbon. Just trying to get out the reviews to the people. Quick shout out to the nephews who are watching, my buddies, Kai, Reed, Maddox, and Sawyer. Uncle Buddy loves you.
All right, that's good. That's good. And that was the thing when I think when I first ran across your channel, it was like, I thought for a second, and Alex, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And they all thank you. So, make sure everyone tonight, subscribe to all of them. There's links in the description below to all their channels. I know Cheech and everybody else, they'll probably share links and everything. So it's important to subscribe to all of them. But I remember like running into all of your channels and thinking like all of a sudden there was something that was very like appealing and entertaining. Like Popham was just like this big explosion of like muscle and like Michael Buffer doing bourbon reviews. I was like, holy shit, this guy he's enthusiastic. That was good. And I resonate with that. Outside of my like formal whiskey reviews, I like all of that stuff. I like to have fun and shoot the shit with people and bust people's whats and all that kind of stuff and just have fun. So when I saw that, I was like, holy cow. And then, Adriana was the same thing. When I saw hers, it was the complete opposite. Calm, nice mountains. It was like, okay, you get to see some nice scenery while she gets to do reviews in a very different way. So the approach was like completely different than anybody else was. And I thought like right away, I'm like, this is unique. And if you're going to keep doing it this way, I thought it was a really interesting way to share. Like now we know you enjoy hiking and doing all of that. So to incorporate that with your, love of whiskey, it kind of becomes a pretty good match. So,
I think that was the key with all 3 of us. Like I said before, I think all 3 of us set ourselves apart. You have to be different. There's so many reviewers, and I'd watch and just be like, man, I'd get 2 minutes in. No offense, just get 2 minutes in, and you're like, all right, I knew I needed to be entertaining to keep the audience, going. And that's what like I said, it's a character. I like getting into character. Like I said, I love wrestling. So it's kind of based off a wrestling character. Michael Buffer from UFC. I like doing those things. That's me. I like being crazy and loud. And I think it just adds something to the review,
Well, and that's fun. To do those things, and you guys all, like we were saying before, you guys are a bit of a personality. Same thing with Chris. When I saw Big League Bourbon, I'm like, holy shit, baseball, which is another passion of mine. Bourbon, I love that. I'm like, Christ, these are 2 things that are colliding that I love. And to get old baseball stories. So, you guys all had something very different and very unique. All different, but very enjoyable. You don't have to just be very singular, enjoy just one different thing. Like for me, like my reviewing style is a little bit more formal. I'm not like, as not as much of a character as I am outside of doing reviews. I like to have more fun, and I'm a little bit more outgoing from that standpoint. But anyway, enough about me. This is about you guys. So,
well, I think it's funny what Troy was saying about bringing in something else you enjoy, because it's always fun, right? When you meet somebody and you find out like, oh, we both like bourbon, you know, and we kind of like some of the same bourbons sort of thing. But then you find out that like, oh, like, you know, so my husband loves baseball. So Big League Bourbon, like it was so excited about your channel. He loves baseball, you know, so he'll be like, oh my God, that's so-and-so and blah, 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 blah stats. And I'm just like, okay, I don't have any idea. But right, like that makes it, then you get to like have that combination of like, oh, we both like, me and Kilco, we both like bourbon, we both like Star Trek. Like we can just rattle on. So it's like, it's a fun way to have a combination in your channel, you know, like, oh, I love like big wrestling characters or whatever. I love outdoors kind of thing. Like it makes you stand out, but it's also like, hey, that's something you're passionate about. And the people who happen to also like both and be looking for, you know, not purposely looking for, nobody was like, oh, I really need a bourbon channel that is hiking too at the same time for some ungodly reason. Like nobody was thinking they wanted that, but it's like, you know, or baseball or whatever, like, but it's just, it makes it so much more fun when you get to combine your interest into something. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, I would agree with that, because I think to that point, it's a nice transition because like you said, well, your husband may enjoy the baseball part of it. So if there's some avenue that brings somebody into another part of the world, whether it's whiskey or whatever, and introduces somebody to it, you never know. Like if someone likes wrestling or, you know, baseball, whatever it is, that's something that may draw somebody else in. You just never know what that will be. So, you know, that's the cool part about this whole thing. So,
and whiskey should be fun. You know, I think sometimes it gets too serious. It gets too pretentious or too snobby. Whiskey should be fun. I mean, this is fun. This is what it should be. You're with friends, you're with people, you're getting people at your house. Everybody can do it. Men, women, everybody can get together, enjoy whiskey. And that's what it should be about. It should be fun. And I've been thoroughly enjoyed the channel. The channel has been a lot more fun than, you know, sometimes it gets to be when you're filming, I got to film, but no, it's not like that. It's fun. I can't wait to film. I can't wait to get it out there, see the reactions. And, you know, especially for y'all, you know, you're going hiking. So you're probably, all right, what bourbon what whiskey can I bring to the mountains to see, you know, and then I'm having this baseball player on, you know, jeez.
Yeah. It becomes a lot of research about what's the weather, what day can I go and what trail am I going to go on. But yeah, it's also become kind of a weird accountability thing for me of like,
yeah, I suppose that is kind of true. Yeah. So there are days you're like, you kind of plan for something and all of a sudden the weather changes and well, that takes care of that. So
that'll definitely set it off.
Your
whiskey channel is definitely much more weather dependent than anybody else's.
Yep.
So.
Hence I normally try to post Sunday, but today's got posted today. Whatever. It's fine. It's whiskey.
So Chris, with your format and your background, you know, what was it about like all of that made you ultimately get to the point where you're like, you know what, I'm just going to do a YouTube channel versus just kind of still having fun, like in the background and all of that?
Yeah. I guess one of the big things that brought me in with that is with my other job, I do graphic design and illustration work. So I found myself, especially over the last year, doing a lot of work for different channels outside WhiskeyTube, but also within this area now. So I was constantly doing work for that. I've done a lot of production work with video for different businesses for marketing and advertising purposes. So I had the background in it, and I was sitting here watching this stuff while I was working all the time, working at night, doing illustration, having some drinks. So I felt, why not? Why wouldn't I take all the stuff that I have and all that I've been doing and be able to share a little bit more about what I love, and especially baseball? Because what I found with the whiskey community is it's the first time since being out of baseball that I've felt that camaraderie with a bunch of people I've never known before. Mm-hmm. That's how baseball was once you got out of the high school ranks, you went to college, you got thrown in the mix with a bunch of people you didn't know. And, you know, you had to make friendships. And then after that, you know, you go to pro baseball. Now there's a whole new group. And depending on where you're at, you're constantly moving around, meeting new people. And that became a big thing to me. You know, that's part of my personality. I can walk in a room, sit down, not know you, and I'm going to know you before I leave if you're sitting next to me.
Yeah.
And, you know, I miss that camaraderie part. I think once you get out of sports and you get busy with your life and family and kids, you start missing some of those things because those things overtake, and you start to forget what it's like to just have that community around you. And once you get that community back around you, this community is amazing. Just the fundraisers that have went on, the fundraisers for Wheels, the fundraisers for WAGs, the fundraisers that WAGs did for the suicide prevention. It's amazing how people just reach out to one another that don't know each other and take care of one another, you know?
Yeah.
And on top of that,
Great point.
yeah, like everybody's just there for each other. You watch these chats while we have live streams going on, and everybody's saying hello to each other. They're telling little stories about their day, what's going on. We've got people across the country searching for hand deliveries for each other, you know, for people they've never met before.
Yeah.
And
the trust is definitely there too. You know, you have to trust people. When they did the thing for Wheels, you know, I've never met this guy, but seeing his story, I was like, I got to do a giveaway. You got to do something, you know, and to see that is just, you don't see that often in a lot of different hobbies or communities. You know, it's a pretty tight knit community.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what really gave it that feel, you know?
Yeah. You made a good point. I mean, I think what the whiskey world is like in terms of sharing and getting together and it being very social, that it just brings a lot of those people that already have that kind of quality to themselves. And just, I mean, people just dive in hard with this stuff. And it's great because we all see, like on our videos or live streams or whatever it may be, a lot of the same people. And it's great to see like everybody and a lot of the same names. And, you know, you wish you could meet everybody, you know, in person and all of that. But it is like you kind of nailed it with just the overall community, the amount of people who want to share and do things. And, you know, for other people, like you all have said, I mean, people do things for others that they've never met before, you know, and they're willing to do that and share things and share money, whatever it may be. Just because that's kind of what whiskey in itself kind of does, to be honest.
Oh yeah. This is the biggest clubhouse / you know, sports locker room I've ever been in my life. Trust me. I've been in a lot of them, and man, this is awesome. You know, you can span out across the country and talk to people, like I said, that you don't know, but you get to know and form, you know, friendships with, and you get excited to see them online when we're sitting here watching, you know, Scott's channel, Mash and Drum, Cheech, Adriana, Pop'ems. You know, there's so many great channels, ADHD, the Junkies, everybody. And it's just fun, you know, and especially when you start getting on these lives and you get to converse with some of these people other than, you know, texting or chatting, it becomes a real friendship, you know? And, you know, once we can all meet up, you know, I bet a lot of us will be at places we can all meet up together and hang out and share a drink and share some stories and get to know each other, you know, outside of a computer screen. And I think
anytime y'all come to New Orleans, y'all come down to New Orleans, we can party. I can show y'all some things down here.
There you go.
Troy, even according to Chris, he's calling you Poppin', not Troy.
Oh yeah, it's Poppin'.
You're just Poppin' now.
Hey, that's fine. For a long time, people on Instagram, they would be like, "Man, what is your name?" That's
Do you have a name?
That's what I'm like. Well, you can call me Poppin'. That's the character. So go with it.
I just got to stick with Tiny. It's appropriate. You know, it's just the way
they called me in high school. Actually, that's just the way
it is.
I see that question though.
Yeah,
I got into wrestling. I mean, 4 years old. I'm 35. 4 years old. I used to watch it with my dad. Started with Hulk Hogan, but then as we got older, The Rock. My favorite was Sting. I was in the Superdome, 1998. I'll never forget it. Sting, when he would come down from the rafters, he came down from the rafters 10 rows in front of me and my friend. That's an experience, you know, you just don't forget. I went down to my hometown actually Monday, unfortunately, for a funeral. I hadn't been down there in years. It's about 30 miles south of where I'm at now. And I was telling my wife, we passed the Winn-Dixie. And I say, see that Winn-Dixie? I saw Diamond Dallas Page in that Winn-Dixie to get an autograph session, you know? So I've been in wrestling and sports. Growing up, that was me and my dad. That was our thing. We watch wrestling. We watch, you know, Yankees, the New York Yankees, and the New Orleans Saints. Those are my passions as far as sports and wrestling go. You know, people are like, oh, wrestling's fake. Well, so is everything on TV. It's entertaining. We don't watch it because we think it's real.
Wrestling goes with baseball a lot more than you think, man.
Right. You know, we watch it.
I'll tell you,
know?
a lot of the old time wrestlers that I grew up with ended up, you know, being off the main circuit and performing before or after games I played at in the minor leagues. You know, I've got to share drinks with the Iron Sheik and Hacksaw Jim Duggan, who performed after one of our games and were staying at the same hotel as us. You know, it's crazy. Like the world ends up being a little smaller than you think. And those guys, when they're in character or not in character, they still live larger than life. You know, they never leave that character, even when they try to. And like,
and that's why I think now today the wrestling's not as good. It's
exciting.
They lived there just like you said, back in the day, they lived. Ric Flair, he was Ric Flair 24/7. Hulk Hogan was 24/7. It's a little different. It's not as exciting as it was back then because you believed that person was who they were. It's getting a little too commercial now. But man, how fun would that be to have a drink with Ric Flair? You know the stories. Right. But that's what whiskey does. Whiskey can bring so much different things together, and it's awesome.
I mean, it's done that for all of us. I mean, we're all over the United States,
right?
You know, and we're doing this stuff over basically one thing that's brought us to this point here, and that's, you know, whiskey. And then everything else that goes into that in terms of your personalities, your interests, all of that is what everybody in the chat basically, I guess I want to say, falls in love with, but it's what they connect, you know, with you guys and all of us that are, you know, doing this. And that's, I mean, if we didn't have anybody watching anything or didn't care, we would just be like crazy people talking to a screen, you know? So, I mean, okay, maybe we're still crazy a little bit, but I mean, at the end of the day, there are people who care about what we say and the content you put out and all of that. So, you know, whether it's 1 view or 1 million, it really doesn't matter from that standpoint. If you're having fun and you're using your platform to do whatever it is you want to do, that's the most, you know, important thing. So,
and that's one thing that as the channel grew, it became harder, because one thing that I pride my channel on is, I'm going to give it to you straight. There's, you know, some guys like, man, I want to get my editing a little better, but some guys, a lot of people are like, no, your show raw. That's what it's about. That's how it is. But it's getting harder to give those negative reviews, because now it really is starting. My review is starting to affect a brand. So if I come out and review a brand, and look, if I'm real with it and say, look, this just isn't that good, in the back of my head, I'm like, man, that at least, you know, the state of Louisiana, that could really hurt that brand. And but you want to be truthful with people.
Yeah.
People are spending their money. They're watching your show and say, hey, if Troy told me to go get this, and that's how I look at it. Troy Popham told me to go get this. So I'm putting my trust and my money, hard-earned money, into what he says. I got to make sure that review is dead on. So you can't be afraid to give a 100% truthful review. And that's what I do. I mean, that's just what you have to do to keep the integrity of the channel. You have to do that. And sometimes, you know, I kind of, if it's not good, maybe I won't review it, you know, because I don't want to just bash a brand,
and that's a good point, because early on, like when I first started out, like I decided I wasn't going to like rate anything in terms of score or whatever it may be, because I thought a number was just arbitrary. It didn't really mean much. I mean, we see it a lot in the wine world where everything is 95 or 97, and I don't even know what the hell that means. So I think, you know, again, with what we taste and nose and all that, again, it's 100% subjective. So what all of us are nosing and tasting may not be what any of us get. So, you know, early on, you know, and then like Troy said, you know, good or bad, this is where I struggled with, because sometimes people will ask, well, how come you don't ever like say anything bad about anybody? Well, it's not a matter of it being bad or good. It just may be like different because my bad may be someone's good and vice versa. So like, I'm just trying to give you like, and I think what a lot of people do is what they nose and they taste, you interpret it however you want, and whatever that may be, you decide if that works best for you. So it's not for me to tell you good or bad. That's for you to decide based on, you know, my review or whatever. So,
but most importantly, what has everybody just poured into their glasses?
Oh, good. Okay.
I started off with the New Orleans Bourbon Fest Matty Gladden pick. This has been
I just got a sample of a Matty Gladden. I'm excited to try it.
Right now, we're early, but my contenders for Distillers of the Year, Chattanooga Whiskey, and Spirits of French Lick. The things they're putting out so far this year. I mean, these two right here, the tequila finish and the port cask finish of Chattanooga Whiskey, for the price, it's unbeatable. And then Spirits of French Lick. I mean, they have notes that you're not going to get on any other whiskey. They are there you go.
You gotta love the Chattanoogas, man. Yeah, that's the rye.
The flavor they're getting out of how young
they're hitters,
is
dude.
Incredible.
They're hitters.
It's unbelievable how they're getting that much flavor out of being that young.
How is it my stepfather grew up in Chattanooga, all of his family's in Chattanooga, and I have yet to have Chattanooga whiskey?
Oh, you got it. It just hit in Louisiana. Speaking of, guys, Louisiana, we just got Chattanooga whiskey, so highly recommend. $45 for the cask, the 111. That bird, I'm gonna go there. I really want to go to that distillery because I mean, shoot, you're gonna be in Chattanooga. Sure, they have great scenery. Adriana, if you ever want to do a
it's real. There. Well, I'm out in Utah, but
I want to see what exactly they're doing to get the flavor. I know it has a lot of with the yeast, but to be under 4 years, some of this stuff, the flavors are just incredible. And same thing with Spirits of French Lick. I get a lot of a jalapeno, a very distinct jalapeno and like bell pepper note on a lot of their rye and even on their high rye bourbons. And then on the 4-grain bourbon, this is a Jonathan Maisano's pick out of Mississippi. I mean, it is like orange marmalade, and it's fresh wood. It's young, but it's a sweet wood. It's not like I don't know how to describe it, but it's a fresh young wood, but it's so good. It goes good with that orange marmalade flavor. But yeah, I definitely, those two right now, everything's their juice. Those two distilleries right now, those are in my running for Distiller of the Year. And we're early, but.
And that's Spirits of French Lick. I'll tell you what, like I had Alan on last week. I'll tell you, he is a mad scientist, but he knows his stuff. I mean, he's an incredible distiller, and what he's doing, I hope more people really have an opportunity to try some stuff from Spirits of French Lick.
He was distilling as a baby, basically. Like
he's like a moonshiner.
He is a moonshiner. He's a moonshiner gone legit. At least 90% of the time, right?
I'm a little kid riding my bike, and he's out there freaking distilling in the backyard.
I guess
Cheech said that cask strength Chattanooga. I still want that. I still got to get that.
I also have I don't know if y'all get a chance. I was on my way to Kentucky to pick up a barrel, and I stopped at Court Dorks in Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee. Yeah. This pick, you think the 111's good? The picks, man, I saw it, picked it up. They had a bunch left. I don't know if anybody's on their way to Nashville, but Court Dorks, Chattanooga whiskey pick. This one's 117.8. I mean, look how dark that is.
Yeah, that's
not just the camera. That's
them using Cameron said it earlier. That's them playing with the different beer malts and the different malted barleys and malted ryes with their products.
Another thing with Chattanooga whiskey, they're very transparent. They tell you right here: yellow corn, malted rye, caramel malted barley, honey malted barley.
Oh, is that what's giving it that dark color? The different roast of the barley.
Yeah.
So this age is greater than 3 years. So it's between 3 and 4 years. And look at the color on it.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was like, didn't you just
then they have the tequila finish. This one, the port cask is unbelievable. Port cask is really good. The tequila finish, it tastes like an aged añejo. That's exactly what it tastes like. It tastes like it came straight from that barrel. And it is, I love it. Just like you said, some people might not. For me, unbelievable, especially for the price. I mean, none of this stuff I think is over $60. I mean, all the Chattanooga stuff's 50 and under. You know,
we
can't beat
don't get it. We don't get it here. But the one I was able to pick one up when I was down in Kentucky, and I was amazed. I mean, the maltiness, the creaminess of it, it was very interesting and different. And that's the only one I had. The only one I've got, I think, is the 111.
Seal box, I don't know.
Scotty, if you need those, man, you tell me, because I have them right down the road from me, and you're just a hop, skip, and a jump away.
Yeah.
So I can get those right to you, man.
Yeah, we don't get any of that stuff. Yeah, I mean, I know Chris and I we're very close. We're maybe an hour and a half max at the most.
No, we're like 40 minutes.
Oh, maybe. Yeah,
because you're like 40 minutes.
That's
Scott,
it.
I'm right off 43. So.
Because Seal Box, I got all these from Seal Box. They ship to Louisiana. I don't know if they ship to y'all, but I got most of my Chattanooga and, well, these are all picks, but I know Seal Box has a lot of Chattanooga and Spirits of French Lick stuff.
Yay, Utah.
Yeah. So speaking of that, so
Mormons.
let's talk a little bit about some allocation. So, Adriana, you get nothing there or what? What's the deal?
So the cool thing about Utah, I'll give it, in being that it says state controlled liquor. I never know how to say that phrase, but it's like, is that you can track everything. So you know exactly how much the state has and how much every liquor store is within like minutes. Nick has followed through the things. So whiskey, that would be amazing if it doesn't get lost this time. He tried to send me samples before and they got lost. But that'd be really cool. I got some kind of Chattanooga from Adam Dorman. I need to find it. But Utah has, so we're able to track things. So like Stag did come here. Nick was like 2 people away from being able to get it. So we get some things. We get ECBP, Booker's, Larceny BP, those sort of like common releases.
Yeah.
Kind of the earliest of a lot of the other states I see. I constantly see like Kentucky still waiting on being able to see a Booker's or the newest ECBP. And, I mean, I got the ECBP late January. So like in that way, we're good. But in a lot of things, we don't get it. And if it's any kind of online shipping thing, I mean, Utah is Utah.
Yeah.
It is Mormon run. So
that's the same thing in Louisiana. Weird the stuff we get and then the stuff we don't get. Like ECBP just hit. The A just hit. We're in what? April?
That's what I keep hearing about other states that I would think of as like
Booker's
being able to get stuff. Yeah. We got Booker's. When I got my bottle of Booker's, nobody else, that I watch on WhiskeyTube had reviewed it or talked about it or gotten it. And by the time I filmed it, one person had finally gotten it and reviewed it, kind of thing. So it's just like we weirdly get those sort of regular releases fairly common, but some of the newer distilleries, all of that, and it's probably because Utah has so much red tape to go through.
Yeah, Louisiana's the same. A lot of politics when it comes to alcohol in Louisiana.
Oh, trust me. Yeah. Trust me, I know.
which is a little odd for like our state in Illinois. Like, I don't know, like Sealbach, they don't ship here at all either. I know some of it's changing, but I don't know what it is about some states will let just about anything in. Some of these online distributors can do it, some can't. And I don't know all the politics behind it, but
I don't get it either. It's weird because we visited family in Paso Robles, California a few weeks ago. We went to all the different wineries. You'd have one winery, they would ship, and then we go to the next one, they wouldn't ship to Louisiana. So it must go by volume or goes by probably how much tax you want to get taken off the top. And some vineyards are probably like, well, we're not willing to take that much off the top, so we're not going to do it. While other ones are. That's the only thing I can think of because, I mean, literally, one would ship, and then you go to the next vineyard, they wouldn't ship. So I don't know. I don't get the laws. I mean, I'm sure we got some reps that can tell us that, but
there's some like that they don't ship there, but they do ship there. So it's like if you kind of like send them something, they can do it. But I don't know. I don't know all the ins and outs behind all of that stuff. But we're starting to kind of slowly understand a little bit more of that side, just now getting into more of the barrel picks and how that whole part works and where they can ship things to and where they can't. So,
now bootleg some of them barrel picks.
Well, yeah. I mean, plus the hard part now is like with doing these, we want to get them to everybody, but, hopefully wherever they're coming from, that most everybody has a chance to get them, or other people help everyone out. But, like trying to like get all these things shipped here and then ship a bunch of bottles out, like,
right.
That could get,
Yeah. You can't be your own distributor. Like you can't start a whole company.
I just took care of one of the barrel picks we did in our Major League, Minor League Baseball group. And I had to talk to the store today so I can have one of my guys pick it up so it can be hand delivered to me, because they technically can't ship it here, even though, they're less than 3 hours away.
Yeah.
Right. They can't send it to me. So
our barrel picks, I know. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just saying I got to have somebody else pick it up for me and, get it to me.
As far as barrel
it's
picks
just crazy.
As far as barrel picks go, if it's in the state, we can go through a store. If it's not sold in the state, we have to go pick that barrel up and get it back. So I know that's how it goes with barrel picks. I don't know about any, how other stuff goes, because we did an Old Scout. We bring that through the stores, but if the product is not sold in Louisiana, we have to go get it. That's just the way it is. Speaking of barrel picks, Scott, did y'all pick the toasted rye yet?
Yes. Now we don't have the Nulu, but we got the Foregate one coming.
Right. So this is what I just poured. This is one of I'm the most proud of this product. We picked this. This is a Nulu rye. It's a 6-year, 4-month rye, 95.5 MGP, toasted. We toasted it for 10 days. Scott, I sent you that sample. Wait until I don't know if you got into it or not, but wait until you do. Yet. Man, this nose, I don't know how you could compare it to, what y'all doing with Foregate, but man.
So the Foregate we had, so that was going to be an 8-year MGP. So we've got a little bit of age on the rye.
I can't wait for that one.
Yeah, then it was finished in toasted barrels for, I believe it was 32 days, I think.
We just did 10 days, and I cannot believe the flavor just a 10-day toast did to this rye. Because we tasted the rye first. We picked the rye because we wanted to pick one that was a little edgy, because we knew that toast would round it out. I mean, it is straight toasted marshmallow. It's unbelievable what 10 days did to this thing.
Yeah. So did it make rye bearable?
Yeah. Oh, you don't like rye? You're not a rye fan? I can understand. I like it all, but I do know a lot of people that do not like rye. But it's funny because most of the girls I know that drink whiskey, they love rye more than bourbon. They're big rye people.
Oh, so really?
Interesting that you don't like rye.
No, I like it in a cocktail, but otherwise.
Oh yeah.
I don't
a Wilderness Trail rye in an old fashioned. Unbelievable.
That's the thing with some of these ryes, like Wilderness Trail, like being specific. I mean, it's very sweet, minty forward. So it's a little bit more tolerable,
right? From
the standpoint of it not being like very like herbal, because a lot of ryes at times can be herbal. But one thing I'll say with like the Nulu, and I know I haven't had that, but in terms of the MGP or the Foregate that Jason and I did, the older ryes can still have that herbal, a little bit of mint and stuff to it, but that toasted really rounds things out. And as they open up, they get just absolutely like candy delicious.
That's unbelievable. That with the Spirits of French Lick rye, the Solomon Scott. I mean this in the best way possible. It's a dirt bomb. I think somebody said it's a dirt. This thing, it's so earthy. It tastes like a fresh jalapeno pepper out of the ground. I mean, it is, but it's great. It's great. But you have to love that. You have to like that profile. It's so different than any other thing you've ever tasted. It's incredible. But it's so earthy, very earthy. I like it.
Yeah. Well, shameless plug on my end. If anybody wants to become part of the Mash and Journey Whiskey Club, there you go.
The picks coming.
Hey, we're trying. We're trying. Troy was part of one. We did a Woodinville maybe 3 weeks or so ago, and hey, we're excited. Jason and I are excited to do the things that we're doing and bring you guys. And we've got some stuff coming that people have no idea will maybe even be possible for a couple of chumps like us. I'll say that. So
that Woodinville, man, I don't know how much we can give away, but that Woodinville,
they're good ones. They're good ones. So,
man,
yeah, I got a couple different Woodinville picks. I got like 4 different ones from all over the place. And each one's a little bit different.
Yeah,
and it's amazing how different they can be, even though they're the same. Like, it blows me away. Like, I've got one that's just it's a chocolate bomb. I mean, it's just chocolate. And I've got another one that doesn't have any chocolate to it at all. You know, you're just catching more, a little bit berry, a little bit, you know, oaky. But it's nothing like the other one. And that, to me, that's exciting. It makes me want to go pick up more of those picks, because I thought the 90 proof was great. But once you get into the 120s to 124s, that's what mine ranged through.
It makes the picks hard. It makes the picks hard. That pick, I said it. This is the hardest pick I'd ever been on, because it was so hard to pick from those samples, because every one of them were incredible. That was very, usually, you know, you get 3 or 4 samples. You have one that really sticks out. We had 3 that stuck. You know, it was that Woodinville pick, man. That was good stuff.
That was fun to watch. Like, I watched that when y'all did that, and that was super fun. Joseph Brazo sent me a Woodinville because we don't have it here, and it is an extremely unique bourbon.
Yes.
Just, you know, I mean, it's the cast strength. I don't think it's a pick, but it's a cast strength, and it is just like so different of a profile kind of thing. So I can imagine that they're picks.
But the good part about that is you start to appreciate and like enjoy things that are different. You know, when you kind of challenge your palate a little bit for those things, because, you know, a lot of us get locked into wanting to drink the same things because we know what it is. But to try different things was always, I mean, one of the fun parts for me anyway. It was just, you know, whether it was good or bad or whatever, I like trying different things. So
that's why it's so hard for me to kill a bottle, because I'll pull out Tuesday night, I'm pulling out 3 or 4 different bottles. I'm like, all right, I always start lowest proof, of course, but it could be 3 whole different brands. I'm just going to drink, you know, a bunch of these tonight and, you know, see where it goes. That's why I'm always sending out samples to everybody, because I'm like, never going to drink all this on my own, you know, let everybody else enjoy.
It's so funny because Nick tends to be the type of, like, he wants to drink something different with each pour. But a lot of times I'm just like in the mood for something. And so, you know, it depends on the night, I guess. Some nights I'm just like right now I'm drinking Rare Breed and I'm like, I could drink this all day. It's so good. I love Rare Breed. But like other nights it's, you know, pouring something different. But he goes, you know, peated scotch to rye to bourbon to, you know, he's all over the place.
Peated scotch, I like it. It just had to be in the mood. And that's something. Once you drink a peated scotch, you can't go.
Thank you. Somebody explain this to Nick, because he'll freaking start the night on Ardbeg and then switch to a bourbon. God, no. And I'm like, of course it tastes funny. What are you doing?
Right. Everything's gonna be off profile after you start out that way.
Well, speaking of something different, I don't know if you guys can read that or not. It's kind of hard
to see.
NASA
Family Reserve from Cat's Eye.
So this is the one from Cat's Eye. Now this is, I saw Gene was in here before. It may be right here. He kind of, I see something. Yes, he does.
Is that a light whiskey?
He's the one. So no, it's not a light whiskey, but yes and no.
Right. It's a blend.
It's got like a 14 or 15-year-old light whiskey, and then a 95.5 MGP, and then an MGP high rye bourbon. So it's basically a boo rye and a light whiskey blended into this. So I think at some point soon I'll do a giveaway of one of these on the channel. And I got like the last 3 bottles. I was there and I'm like, well, I'll pick up the last 3 that he had. They had some other Obtainium stuff, but I saw this one and I think Gene had mentioned something about it being kind of a special one. So I'll do a giveaway at some point on the channel of one of those. So. But it's
so, guys. So what? Go ahead, Scott. Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say it's very. I don't want to say unique. It's very good. It's easy to drink. 107 proof. It's got some nice kind of cinnamons and all of that stuff. You know, I don't want to say like people hear others say like it'd be great in a cocktail. They think it does. That means it's not good to sip on. Well, that's not what this means. But I know at 107 proof and this flavor profile that it has would be like incredible in an old fashioned, period. It'd be good. But outside of that, just sipping on it itself, sweet, oaky, nice spice to it, good cinnamon, all of that. So, I mean, I was pleasantly surprised. So, Gene, good job.
Anyway. I just wanted to, I'll start. So I know we're early in the year, tons of big hitters still yet to come out. But for, Big League Bourbon, Whiskey Mountains, what is y'all leader in the clubhouse right now? Bourbon of the year, whiskey, rye, whatever you want to call it. For me right now, look, it's early, a lot of stuff yet to come out. I was very, very impressed with two things. Now, who knows at the end of the year, all the stuff coming out, but barrel Seagrass. Now, I know Armida kind of set them back. Not a lot of people liked Armida. I did. But that barrel Seagrass, unbelievable. Unbelievable. That rye can really punch through that finish. It's like strawberries with the rye spice. Very good. I highly recommend that. And the Maker's Mark FAE 01. I did a blind of I didn't do them blind, but I did a comparison of the three releases from 2019, 2021. That one, that FAE 01 is incredible. And they're also coming out with 02. But so far, those two right now, those have to be the leaders in the clubhouse right now. I know we're early, but those two right now is very, very impressed with the Seagrass and the FAE 01 from Maker's Mark. Those two were
really let me ask you this. So what is the profile of that Seagrass? I mean, I know Barrel does all kinds of crazy things, but like what is behind it?
So give me 1 second. I got the bottle right here. Let me go grab it.
Okay.
Well, with him saying about the Makers, I muted myself so that I could yell at Nick to look up whether or not we have Makers in the warehouse here or not. He's my person for looking everything up in the warehouse.
Yeah, I think Adam, Mr. Whiskey Shits, did say you guys have that out there.
Yeah, I would expect it. We, like I said, we get those those seasonal releases, whatever, like really well. So I want to get my hands on that because I've liked the stave profile Makers that I've had a lot. So I really want to try that FAE because I keep hearing good things about it.
It's really good. It's really good. I see Joseph Brazo. He said he hated the Armida. The problem with the Armida is it became very metallic. I know it's hard to describe, but it really did. It became very metallic as it opened up. I liked it. I'm Italian. I like Amaro. You could really taste the Amaro in it. There's Amaro finish on that one. But the Barrel Seagrass, this is rye whiskey finished in Martinique rum, Madeira, and apricot brandy barrels. It's 118.4 proof. The finish doesn't take over the whiskey like it does in Armida and Dovetail. The rye sticks through. So we have the sweet notes, candy strawberries, but that rye spice just comes through mid-palate. I mean, this is really good. This is of the three, without a doubt, of their crazy finishes they do. This one is just above. Because this one, I think your everyday, even your whiskey snobs that hate all this finishing stuff, they can drink this and say, okay, I still get the rye whiskey on it. The other ones turn into just craziness, which I love. I love all the crazy. The crazier the finish, I love it. Just like the tequila finish with Chattanooga. I like the finish stuff. It's different. It's different than the everyday stuff. But the Barrel Seagrass and that FAE 01, so far, those two, very impressed with those.
You said that barrel is finished in what it was like 3 different finishes?
3 different things. Martinique rum, Madeira, and apricot brandy barrels. The apricot comes through as well, but it's more of a strawberry and maybe like a peach. But man, it's really good.
Sweet? Because I recently, obviously I'm not a rye person, but I recently had some Angel's Envy, which is finished in rum.
That one's super sweet. That one's like cotton candy.
Crazy sweet. Mm-hmm. And I was very shocked because the rye spice doesn't really come through on that one, which is why I could deal with it. This one is interesting because on the front, the sweet hits you on the front. And then when it gets to that mid-palate in the back, the spice just comes out of nowhere. And it really puts that tingle on you. That spice, the rye comes through. And that's why I think it's a little, it's a little different than the other ones. The Armida and the Dovetail, you can't even really call them bourbons anymore because it tastes nothing like bourbons. The finishes just take over.
But this one, this is the first one he did with rye, and I really think that rye whiskey, and I think it's a young rye. There's no age statement, but you can tell by the color. I think it's a younger rye, so it's got a little more edge to it, and it really punches through. It's a roller coaster. I mean, it hits sweet, and then when it hits that mid palate, the spice is just. I mean, it's like rock candy, that pop candy. It just comes in and pops just like that. It's really good.
Well, blending is their thing. They are master at blending. Incredible. Barrel does it good. That's why I'm kind of interested to see what this this kind of like Stellum brand.
Yeah, that's their new label. I heard about that.
Well, you know what? Let's give it a try. As you guys, so Troy mentioned before, he was asking everybody else kind of what their contenders were. Adriana, what do you got?
Yeah.
Oh, for 2021, I feel like I'm still catching up on 2020, to be honest. Shit, what would I say?
Anything you've had that's been like super memorable? Like, yeah, that's been absolutely fantastic.
Like literally the only thing that comes to mind, and it's completely unfair, is a Knob Creek. Shocking. That
is it a pick? Those picks are good.
It's a pick that Jason from the Mash and Drum sent me. It's a 15-year-old store pick, and it's
those are incredible.
It's so mind-blowing.
You're spoiled. 15.
I know.
You're not going to be able to drink the 9 years.
It's it's funny because somebody sent me Shane Long. I don't know if he's here, but Shane Long sent me a rye flight. But with it, as kind of like a reward for doing a rye flight, he also sent me a sample of the Knob Creek 15-year, that like 100 proof limited edition, and I loved it. For me, that was amazing. And then I got this store pick from Jason, and it, like, for me, like, I can't think of anything else right now because all I can think about is how good that 15-year-old Knob Creek store pick.
They are.
Yeah.
Those were the only thing that I've had that could compete with those 15-year picks is the 25th anniversary. That Knob Creek is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
So, Livewire Whiskey Mike Stahl is, I think, going to send me a sample of that, and I'm
those sat on the shelf here. Those sat on the shelf in Louisiana. I got it probably a year to 2 years. I'm getting it's starting to get to me. I came straight from the gym to the show.
And
now I'm drinking and all that.
You're catching up to my hyper blind flight that Nick made me do before. So
this is what happens when you do upper body works and drink too much Seagrass. You start.
That's what happens.
You got it.
It flows fast. The blood flows fast. You get
that it does. Man, I'll tell you what. So far, like this Stellum, it smells young. The bourbon does.
It's got to be young.
So this says
it's supposed to be a mix of some older with a lot of younger, though.
Well,
I'm sure the older is going to be Dickel.
It's So it's
Tennessee sourced.
Yeah, it's Kentucky, Tennessee, and Indiana. You do get a little bit of that metallic note, which, that's the one problem with blending is when you've got that one dominant source of something, it wants to take over. Therefore, you got to try to blend in all these other things to override that a little bit. Man.
Their batch, I can't remember because I killed the bottle. It was either batch 21 or 22 straight bourbon.
Yeah.
It won bourbon of the year at the San Francisco Spirits Awards. That bottle was incredible. It was a chocolate. I can't remember. It was either batch 21 or 22. That one was unbelievable.
HBR.
Leave it up to Chris to come up with something like that. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I haven't tasted this thing yet, but
hot buttery rolls. I don't know if y'all have seen his bar. He just set up. Mm-hmm. That thing looks like something out of what's that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio?
Titanic?
No,
there's a lot of them, man.
It's that
the Great Gatsby.
When he throws the parties. And
Great Gatsby.
Great Gatsby.
Yeah. Great Gatsby.
AKA
that's what
George
like.
Remus.
Hot buttery rolls looks like the Great Gatsby drinks in his bar.
You got me talking
George
about it.
Remus.
So Nick brought me a glass to have some.
Hop them.
I'll throw down my picks so far for the year.
Yeah, man.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw one out here that's a blend. I haven't been big on the blends or the finishing, but it's a blend and a finish. And I think these guys are doing some amazing stuff. It's 1-8 Distillery out of DC. They
awesome
drop
stuff.
some of the best blends out there. And this is batch 11. This one's finished. I want to say it's in cognac, PX sherry cask.
They do a Pinot Noir finish.
Yeah, it's a Pedro Jimenez. It's in a ruby port cask as well, Oloroso sherry cask. This thing, you can sit there and each sip you're going to catch a little bit something different. Like
interesting.
And I came from the beer world before this with my family owning bars, and I got big into the Sam Adams when they would do the high-end releases or the Utopias and stuff like that. And on those, you would catch things like rum raisin and, you know, just have those deep flavors like this. I'm telling you, this one right here, you're going to catch some old school cake, some rum raisin.
And I think,
you know,
that 1-8
just, yeah, it's the number 11. It's fantastic. I got the 17 up here, which has some 13 and 14 year MGPs in it that are finished. I'm excited to crack that, or pop them, as you say. Dude, that's addictive, by the way. That's absolutely addictive.
Well, I got one of my little nephews. His dad sent me a video the other day. He's unprovoked. Pop him. Don't watch him. Pop him. Don't.
Yeah. Dude, that's awesome. And the next one I'm going to show, I'm going to go on the rye side because I got one on each side. This is a new bottle. This is that second bottle I had to pick up. Scott will recognize this brand big time. But as far as ryes go, this Driftless Glen, these are absolute hitters. When you get to their bourbon side, I'm going to throw it down. Scott threw it down already, but man, they can compete with the Stag, and I think they're a little smoother.
I'll tell you what.
I think their bourbons at cask strength are smoother, more drinkable, and more enjoyable with the dark chocolate, the espresso. I'm an espresso guy, so when I had that, it was magical. I
saw somebody say 4-Gate.
Eat Stag.
I forgot about that. That's
Stag.
4-Gate Ruby Rye. Is it the Ruby Springs Rye?
Yep.
That one. I forgot about that. Somebody just said it.
That was batch.
Yeah,
that was batch
solid.
11. That was batch 11 from the 4-Gate. And that was their Ruby Rye Springs. And man, they've been Cam mentioned it before. Like 4-Gate's like batch 12 right now. This is the one that's this is the PX Sherry rum cask.
Is that the Kelvin Collab 3?
This is Kelvin Collaboration 3.
Sherry and rum.
It's a sherry rum, meaning it's sherry and rum that were in the same barrel, not sherry and rum.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, when you open this and you drink it and you let that bad boy like open up a little bit, it is an absolutely incredible finished whiskey, bourbon, whatever you want to call it. It is, for me, like I know people's like issue will be $200. I don't give a shit. It is worth that in today's whiskey.
100%.
The amount of money people pay on the
100%.
secondary market for things like is ridiculous. When you have these things and they made sit, or you can get them really easily. Fine, let them sit there.
Yeah.
I'll buy it.
You can buy a bunch of $50 or $70 duds, and there's a lot out there right now.
Yeah,
I've told a lot of guys
that marketing or FOMO or whatever else get you to buy that are absolute duds.
Yeah,
I'd much rather put $200 into a bottle that I know is going to hit.
People say all the time, like it's too expensive, and sometimes, like you said right there, my response is, buy a couple like less shittier bottles and buy a better bottle. Like, I mean, I know better and worse, whatever, again, is subjective, but when you can have something like this versus a $70 kind of overpriced whiskey, like, I don't know. It's just, I think part of it has to do with the inability or for people to get it was one thing. And the lack of people understanding where they can go to get it. So, those are a couple of other things that kind of probably a little bit of an issue with some of these smaller brands that people have a little bit of a tough time paying money for, is just the inability sometimes for what they think is getting them. So, it's a little easier than they think it is.
Yeah.
So.
Fourgate's one of those brands that you kind of brought to the forefront. And I've told people it is worth the $200. That's when you make that statement, you're telling people $200 for a bottle of whiskey, your hard-earned money. But I'll tell them, I have no problem telling somebody $200 is well worth it for a bottle of Fourgate. That is consistency-wise. I mean, Old Carter's got the name now. Old Carter's going to be the big one. So I kind of compare those two because they're both, in that $200 range. As far as consistency overall in the batches, Fourgate, man, well worth $200. Because I'll tell somebody, but you're going to go pay $200 for Weller 12 on the secondary? You can buy this for $200 and it's going to absolutely blow that through the roof.
Yeah.
Blow it through the roof.
Yeah.
Fourgate, man. That's
but that Weller 12 looks pretty on their shelf and they're never going to open it.
It's not even like what you could.
It's a status symbol. It's not a drinking thing. It's a status symbol.
What you could sell a Weller 12 for and take that money and go buy a Fourgate. Yep. For me, it is not even, it's like putting a heavyweight in the ring with a 100-pound like horse jockey. Yep. Like, it's not going to work out very well for the little guy. Look,
I'll give a baseball big league will like this one. So, I had a guy and he was like, man, what? You never have any Wellers. You're just mad because you can't get them. I said, no. I can get them. But they're minor leaguers. I trade them for prospects. Oh, yeah. They're prospects. I trade them for stalls. Yeah. I could trade those Wellers for big time hitters that I know are good. Yep. But Fourgate, man, you can't go wrong. I know it's $200, but you're getting a special whiskey for $200. That's the key. Yeah. They're putting so much effort in what they're finishing these the bourbons, the ryes, all of them. Yep. It's well worth $200 compared to what you're going to pay on the secondary for stuff.
Well, Jason just dropped that comment, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. Huge. Like, that is the thing. I mean, you'll pay $130 to $200 for a source whiskey that they do nothing with and put it in a bottle and whatever. It's part of that brand. So call it whatever it is.
We've seen probably 15 to 20 of those just recently.
Yep, I'm with Jason. I'm at the point now, if it says 15-year straight bourbon, if it says 15-year Kentucky straight bourbon, I'm not even buying it because I already know what it is. It's the same thing. The last year and a half, it is literally
go buy that Knob Creek 15-year store pick for $40 and you're getting a better bottle.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, being educated and understanding what it is you're buying and why. Nowadays that the FOMO is ridiculous with people. Like they flock to these things when they hear rare, there's not much of it. Then all of a sudden there's a crazy prices and everybody wants the stuff. They don't even know.
It's all those marketing catchwords I have to use for customers all the time. Rare, limited, you start putting it out there. You think about baseball teams, travel baseball,
Old Carter,
the names that go in front of them, how they're so much better. And it's just some bullshit name like Elite.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just another damn baseball team.
No, I think here's what I think JP means on that. I think low key from the standpoint of their distribution is still not very good at all.
Well, they got what,
6 states now, Scott?
What's that?
They're up to what, 6 states now?
I think
I just added 2 or 3.
It's maybe 6 states. Like, it's not very many. And if they were in a little bit more, the distribution was a little bit more. I mean, again, it would be another brand that would never stay on the shelves at all. So
Big
League doesn't stay on the shelves now.
Yeah, it really does.
Big League made a good point with the Wellers. It looks good on the shelf. That's actually where I got the name for the channel from. Pop them, don't watch them, and that's where it comes from. Because guys in our group, not to single anybody out. Look, if you want to collect bourbon, that's whatever, but to sit on your shelf, and that's what I used to say. I said, what do you do? Watch it? Look at it? What are you doing with it? These distillers, this is art. They made this to be enjoyed. It'd be like going to buy an expensive painting and then putting a drape over it. Pop it. Drink it. I can't wait. When I get I don't care how allocated it is. When I get a new bourbon, I cannot wait to get home, open it up, and try it. I couldn't imagine
getting
it, bringing it home, and
us,
putting
though,
it on
isn't
the
it?
shelf.
The experience.
Right.
I don't get
right.
an experience looking
I
at it
couldn't
on the
imagine
shelf
just
at
putting
one
it on my
time.
shelf and not drinking it. I just couldn't.
Here's what I'll say about that. Now others are different, but I've got a few of the, more popular ones that people want that are unopened. And a lot of my thought behind it is when I can trade it for something that
that's true. That's
the only reason I'm reluctant to somehow, open some of these is because I know what they are, I know what they taste like, and I know what I could get for it. So like if I can,
I've done that with a couple bottles. I'm not going to lie.
Turn around like a stag and I could get 2, maybe 3 bottles of Foregate. It's not even, like I would do it in a heartbeat,
Right.
So that's the only time I'm a little reluctant to open something is only because like it's there waiting to maybe have a trade. If something came along that I wanted really badly, I've got a little something to.
My buddy Sterling,
I got 2 bottles on my shelf that are that way. They're literally sitting there growing in value, and I'm going to use them to get things that I can't normally come across.
Yep.
My buddy Sterling,
one of those bottles came from a trade that way.
When the shit hits the fan bottles. So he keeps them because when shit ever hits the fan, he knows he can go sell those bottles. And, if he needs some income or needs some quick cash to liquidate, he's got those bottles sitting there. And you're talking like a Pappy 23 and, stuff that you're never going to get again. And he got at retail. Some of that stuff, that I don't blame you. If you want to keep that on the side because you never know what could happen, that's a different story. But we're talking, just so many whiskeys that are out there. These guys just buy them. And I mean, they get into the game and within 2 to 3 months, $5,000. I'm like, man, what are y'all doing? Like,
yeah. I was lucky enough to win 3 different expressions of Pappy in a charity raffle. And I still have 2 of them, but I took the 20-year and flipped it into 10 bottles that I can't get that were all allocated, and now one of them is one that I'm holding on to that I feel is going to be better. If you watch what the E.H. Taylors do, with the 18-year-old marriage going big, you look at that old-fashioned sour mash and stuff like that, what they go for, it's unreal.
It's like having house money. It's house money. You keep it and you trade it.
Out of that 20-year, I ended up with single barrels. I ended up with a bunch of store pick, foolproof stuff like that. But I ended up with an E.H. Taylor Amaranth.
Yeah,
it's
not even when you talk about that trade versus a Pappy 20 and knowing, okay, it's a good bourbon. Okay,
I've had it, but it doesn't blow me away.
And that's the thing. I mean, it's not $1,700 good.
Bingo.
No. That's not even close.
No,
I don't think it was worth $189 I spent on it. To be
look,
honest.
We did a blind. This is a true story. Me and my buddy Jared, owner of the Circle Bar, we did a blind. Okay, he's got some Pappies. We did a blind with one of our buddies, Adam. We put the white label, bottled and bond, Evan Williams. Blind. He didn't know what was in any of the glasses. We didn't tell him. He picked the Evan Williams over the, I think it was a 12 and a 10-year Pappy. And that's just straight somebody that's just tasting, not knowing what it is, and they're tasting it. And, if you get a good Weller 107 pick, it'll blow the 10-year out of the water. Out of the water.
Oh, yeah. Like Shane Long brought this up the other day in one of the live chats I was in. I have some of the Ezra Brooks Distillers Cut. They're great. And he had somebody that he took and put a 15-year-old Pappy in a blind along with that and 4 other ones. The Distillers Cut took it.
Yeah, that's just that's the
some
way
of the Distillers Cuts I've had, the amount of flavor and the complexity to them, I would take that over that Pappy any day. I mean, I've had the whole line.
Tater Village.
None of them make me go, yeah, that's $1,000.
Yeah.
I've had bottles that are $50, this stuff, $80. I'll take this any day over it. You offer me a pour of this or Pappy, I'm taking this. I'm not going to lie to you.
Well, here's
Jason, the one that's created in horse piss, that's just the Derby special edition. That's how we sell that. It's done.
So okay,
Triple
so
Crown.
here's one. So here's one when or if you could get it at retail that you want to talk about an incredible whiskey.
Oh,
that's
my 2020 rye of the year.
$65.
Rye.
It is where if we're talking like whiskeys of the year, like this right
That one
here so
month.
far, if it's not number one, that is a special rye whiskey right there.
Yep.
I mean, that and this from Foregate for me, this Kelvin Collaboration 3 have been incredible whiskeys. So, whatever. It is what it is. I mean, again, it's subjective and that's whatever.
Before I forget, I had a question for Adriana. So during the pandemic, the height of it, when we were locked down, the whole neighborhood was outside. Everybody was outside. Everybody was home from work. And I would drink my whiskey outside, sitting outside. And I just couldn't pick up the notes. The nose, the flavors were different. Do you find that when you're out in your scenery, does the whiskey taste different? Do you pick up different notes?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm trying to work on incorporating that more, but I don't want to film at home and outside. But oftentimes what I find happens is I still get a lot of notes normally. I keep telling myself I need to get one of those thingies that like sticks in.
Glen toppers,
it doesn't,
the little toppers.
Yeah, so it doesn't fall like Mash and Drum sells them where it won't fall off like a coin will.
Yeah, it pops on there.
Yeah, but a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just hold my hand over it, and that does the trick enough. But what I find is often it's just not as sweet. So if there is a bourbon that tends to, or I guess other whiskeys, but bourbon that tends to be too sweet at home, what I've found is, and honestly, I should try this with Old Forester 1920 because I don't like Old Forester 1920 because I find it really sweet. But what I find is that it tends to be less sweet outdoors, and you start to get, but bourbons that are more earthy to begin with, like a Wild Turkey, like Rare Breed, I'm thinking, or Knob Creek, like they tend to be more earthy to begin with. You pull out even more of that earthy note, but if you dig the earthy note, like it still works. And if you let it open up, you still get the sweetness and everything, but it is a little bit different and a little bit different of a balance. But normally I can still get, some kind of notes. But what I found, especially if it's cold, trying to keep it warm and putting your hand over it.
Yes, when it was, it was spring last year. So here in Louisiana, you never know what you're going to get. It could be 60 degrees one day, and the next day it's 80. So when it was cold out, it definitely changed the flavor so much. I had to stop drinking outside. I was like, this is, it was ruining the flavors.
If you let it get too cold, so it's funny because I did Elijah Craig recently, like just regular small batch Elijah Craig outside, but I let it get cold, and it was just like soap. I don't know. It had like a weird soap note, which I've never gotten off of Elijah Craig. So then I like hid it in my jacket for a little bit just to get it back to like room temp basically and covered it. And honestly though, it can recover from being cold. It's not like once it gets cold, it doesn't taste good at all anymore. Like as long as you get it back to temp, it seems like it's fine. I drank Larceny Barrel Proof literally in about 1.5 feet of snow, which is about 1/4 of my height.
Not too many people can say that.
So but it was delicious. It was so good. But that's the other thing. I think if you're in and people tie their bourbons with memories a lot of times, right?
Yeah.
And I think for me, especially with this, a lot of times, if the hike is just particularly gorgeous or particularly special, like this Larceny Barrel Proof hike that I did, it was just so ridiculously like a movie kind of thing. That is just that's now kind of a bourbon I love to go back to because it makes me think of like Narnia in the winter and snow and like warming up with this delicious, baked spice forward bourbon kind of thing and spicy with just enough heat. And it's good. But again, you got to kind of hide it in your jacket, keep it at temp. I always wrap my bottle in a jacket in my bag or whatever. So like you gotta like take care of it, I guess, but it can be really, really enjoyable. But they do make a difference. Some of them more than others. But
makes sense. Yeah. I mean, it really does. I mean, I mean, I've always liked the idea of tying like whiskey to some kind of memory or an experience or whatever it may be. And like as many as you may have, somewhere along the way, you somehow remember all of them wherever, you know, or however it may be. So that's always one of the cool things. I mean, that's really what got me, you know, involved in whiskey. It was as simple as my dad was trying something one day and I'm like, hey, let me give that a whirl. And I tried it and it was kind of like, you know, down the rabbit hole I went, and that was years and years ago. And
that's actually a question I had, was like, how did everybody kind of get
I was about to
into
ask the same thing. I don't know if we had enough time, but I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah,
I wanna know how everybody...
we can go another, you know, 10 or 15 minutes if you guys want.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I'll go first. So I was big into wine. Me and my wife liked wine, red wine. That's how really my palate and my nose really started picking up notes. And the problem with wine is, though, you know, we found that sweet spot was like the $40 to $60 bottle. Those were the sweet spots. And when you pop wine and you take that first sip, you know, okay, this is going down good, or I'm not going to. And you don't finish it. You just throw away $40 to $60.
Yep.
So my buddy Jared, he's a big whiskey guy. So we'd go to his house, and he'd be the only one into whiskey. Nobody really was really into it. And, you know, I started nosing, and I was picking up stuff. And they were like, man, how you picking that up already? I was like, wow, you know, wine. So I'd pick it up, I'd drink it. You know, this is pretty good, because I went to straight neat whiskey really fast. And I just got into it. And then, you know, I discovered you spend $40 to $50 on a bottle of whiskey, it'll last you a year, 2 years, 3 years sometimes. And then I'm a nerd like Jason. Jason and me, I'm a nerd. Like, I love the history. I love diving in. And I mean, it is America's spirit. You can't, besides the American flag and baseball, this is America. You know, bourbon itself is America. And once I dove into it, I would pick a distillery at work. I hope nobody from work's watching. On my you know, days that were slow, I'd pick a distillery and I would just research and read everything about it, the history. Bell Mead and Nelson Greenbrier, that was one of the most interesting stories of all the distilleries. That was awesome how those guys came to be. And then I just soaked it up. I just loved it. Just dove right in, started getting into whiskey, started getting into the bourbons and which one I really liked. Took off from there, and, you know, here we are on my bourbon journey. So
there you go. Shameless plug. Who wants to go next?
Chris, you go.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Chris, hang on 1 second.
Yeah.
I clicked on something to the right of my screen, and I accidentally put Brazier in timeout, I think.
Joseph's in timeout. Watch out, folks.
No,
it won't hurt him.
He says he's been blocked for 5 minutes. So Brazier,
Oh no, you gave him the big timeout.
I don't know how to unblock him for 5 minutes. So if somebody else can do it,
I think he's just got to ride it out. I don't think you can.
Brazier, it wasn't me.
That'll give him a chance to go get a new cigar, light one up, and give him
there
a
you
chance.
go.
He won't be.
That's another wormhole I'm trying not to go down, is cigars. I'm trying.
Oh man, that's a big wormhole to go down. I've been down that one for a long time.
It is a tough one.
You'll end up in a bigger wormhole than you are with your bourbon and whiskey, man.
Yeah.
So with me, everything started out a little different. My family owned bars growing up. I was all over the spectrum. I went from beer, and then I went to Scotch, and then craft beer came around. I was into the craft beer before the boom hit. I helped set up a distillery and worked with them and served a lot of their stuff and did a lot of food pairings and stuff like that. I managed restaurants and went to culinary school for a while too, on top of art school and everything else that I did. So for me, it's always been about pairing. And I went down the wine hole for a long time because that was huge in the restaurants, because I did fine dining. And we went from doing wine pairings to breaking into the beer and starting to do the craft beer, pairing it with food as well. And I graduated from there because the craft beer there's only so much you can do with it. I mean, there's still places doing a lot more, and it gets crazier and crazier.
Crazy stuff.
We've jumped the shark in that that boat to me,
Yeah.
because I can go out now and pick up something like a Black Stack out of Minneapolis and pay $38 for 4 16-ounce beers. Okay. And those, if they're good, that's one day, just like that bottle of wine where I can go buy that $40 bottle of bourbon or whiskey. Same thing like you said with the wine.
Those beers are heavy.
They are. And I get a lot more enjoyment out of being able to go back to something multiple times. And you see those beers once anymore, and you never see them again, or that flavor profile, because everyone's always trying to reinvent themselves and keep you coming back for more and the next greatest thing. So unfortunately, you'll get one, you'll be like, damn, that was amazing. You go back next week, you can't get the same thing.
Yeah.
But on bourbon, most of the time, I can go back if I find something that's great, and probably 80% of the time, I can get it again. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be able to drink it a lot longer. So that became appealing to me. And the first time I had it, ironically, was going to that charity event. It was a tasting on top of the charity, and I won the 3 bottles of Happy. Didn't know anything about them at the time, but I got to try a bunch of different stuff. And Elijah Craig Small Batch is the one that hooked me from the get-go. I had that.
Great beginning bourbon.
It was just, I caught great flavors. It wasn't a Jim Beam. It wasn't a Jack. All the things that I grew up in the bar with that everybody asked for pours of. Like I tell everyone, Weller's Special Reserve was our rail bourbon. We went through like 2 bottles of that a year. I'd go through 2 bottles of Jack in a night.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was a $14 rail bourbon.
Yep.
And I couldn't give it away back in the day. So to me, it's a funny one. It's still got a place in my heart. I have it on my shelf. I like it, but it doesn't knock me dead. It doesn't blow me away.
Right.
But it's something different when I want to switch up to a weeder,
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's how I graduated into it. And then I just started digging into it. And like you, I wanted to know everything about it, because that's how I was with the beer and the different distillers. I wanted to know what their backgrounds were, what they had going on. For me, it was discovering that. Like I used to look over my baseball charts and stuff, and I wanted to know everything about the players I was playing against. I wanted to know their scouting report. And, that's one of the fun things. I've been recording some videos here in the background, getting ready to drop just individual videos now lives, drop some scouting reports on stuff, because to me, that's fun. But learning about these distilleries and learning about the different spirits and expressions, that's exciting to me.
They're artists. They're artists.
Yeah. And like you called it earlier when you said prospect. Mm-hmm. Dude, there's some great prospects out there. There's some minor, I taste them. I got some minor leaguers. I got some major leaguers. I got some Hall of Famers. And I got some, straight up hometown softball beer league. Bourbons,
we all have those. We all have the big ones. It's crazy what everybody. Joseph, I love you, my man. So I didn't mean to do that. I apologize.
Liberty Not Licensed wanted me to do that. 2 favorites on my end right now are the Untitled number 11. The number 17 is out now if you can find it. They flew off the shelves. They're amazing. And the other one is a Driftless Glen. And that Driftless Glen, this is the rye. But they also have the straight bourbon, and that's the one, if you get it barrel strength, that is the Stag Killer.
Where is Driftless Glen? I have not heard.
Baraboo, Wisconsin, the home of America's Clown Museum.
Yep.
Also the original home of the Barnum and Bailey Circus.
That's terrifying.
I think they got rid of that.
Yeah, they did.
They're doing like Chris said, they're really doing some really, really good things. So
they are. They serve some pretty amazing food there. They could probably give Bardstown a little run for their money with some of the food they kick out. It's not the shrimp and grits, but they're kicking out some pretty amazing food.
Man, I'll tell you, it's It's really, they're really doing a really darn good job. I'll say that. So
yeah, Scott, I got to get you down here, man. I got a couple friends that are chefs. Get you down here having some good food and some of the good bourbons we got at the bars here.
that sounds absolutely fantastic.
You'll enjoy it.
Yeah. All right. So here, I'll wrap it up. I'll kind of like, so in terms of getting into bourbon, like for me, it kind of started again with just that one single thing. And then it was the exploration of trying to figure out everything behind it, the history. How is this stuff made? What is it all about? And like, where do you go to find all of that? Kentucky, that is where you think you need to go. And well, now several years later, it probably is the place that you want to go to experience all of those things. And it is a rabbit hole of all places. Like you're early on in your journey, and like you want to buy everything. Like you are so like fascinated. You don't know what you don't know, and you just want to buy everything. You think everything that's from Kentucky, that you're not gonna be able to get it anywhere else, and you're just running around like a chicken with your head cut off in Kentucky, trying to buy everything you can. So, but for me, it was really the history behind things. Once you kind of get sucked into all of that and understanding that, maybe you're drinking or sipping on a whiskey like Adriana has that sat in a barrel for 15 years and did nothing. It just sat there. How many things can you enjoy that have done something for 15 years? I mean, it's kind of an incredible, spirit from that standpoint. So that's what really got me kind of like suckered into the whole deal. Exactly. So it's experiencing all of that. And then secondary was the channel started because I wanted to do a video diary. I had no idea about reviews or any of that. It just kind of was a springboard into that eventually. And then, you don't even think about like a whiskey community because that wasn't totally a thing then. But now we get to do these things and talk about it and meet people and share stuff. And that's ultimately become the best part about it, is getting the opportunity to meet people and talk to different people. And it's such a great community and such a great bunch of people that, I wouldn't trade that for anything. So
the year, what you said about the 15 year, that's a big thing for me. Sometimes I'll sit there and I'll look at the whiskey and I'm like, okay, this is 12 years old. And I think to that year and think, what was I doing? 12 years ago, this liquid was put in a barrel. And what was I doing at that time in my life? And you think about what your life has gone through. For me, we had Katrina here. So anything before Katrina, you think, man, what your life, the steps in your life, college, getting into the corporate world. And you're like, man, this was sitting, all those things I went through in life during that time, this was literally sitting in a barrel. And then somebody has enough sense and knows how to just taste it and say, you know what? It's been here 15 years, 12 years, it's ready today. It's amazing. If you really think about that, that is amazing to be able to just say, all right, yeah, you know what? It's ready today.
Yeah.
And when I look at anything I pour, I think about that every time I look at that whiskey. And you can't, what else can you do that with?
Yeah.
Nothing. Tequila, vodka, nothing. Yeah. There's no other spirit, maybe like cognacs and brandies and stuff like that. But
yeah,
this is ours. Bourbon is ours. And you look at it and you think, man, this is ours. And to think the love and the passion that went into something like that, and then you get to drink it. The only other thing that compares to that is if I'm pouring somebody one of my picks, a pick that I was on, and I get to pour that and say, I picked this. That is another, probably the second coolest thing. If you do a pick and you get to pour that for somebody and they, I picked this bourbon. This was a pick I did. That's another cool thing when it comes to whiskey.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it boils down to tying whiskey to memories and sharing stuff. And like, I mean, it doesn't even have to be great, like necessarily a great bottle or whatever it is. It's just the environment and the moment that you get all caught up in. And like the best part about like whiskey a lot of times for me is being able to give somebody else something that they've never had before, never had a chance to try. Or, I mean, I love sharing things, whether people say they like whiskey or not. I mean, I'm constantly forcing stuff on people and like people like, we don't want it. I'm like, yeah, you do want it. Trust me, you want this, okay? So that's a fun part for me too, is getting a chance to just share stuff with people. So
that's what guys and girls love coming over here, because they know all my stuff's popped. So they know they're gonna come over here. Anything that's in that cabinet, they know it's open. So they're gonna get to try, stuff they've never had before. That's a beauty of it, getting to share that with people. Look, you're never gonna drink all this. You're never gonna drink all this yourself.
No.
Share it with people. Share it.
That's
enjoy those
fact.
memories.
Like I've got some guys from my minor league and major league baseball group coming out this summer, and I'm excited to bring them down here to where I've moved everything down to so you can't see it right now. My camera, I had an issue tonight, but if you could see it all, I built a nice collection, and I want to share it with everyone because it is about the experience.
Yep.
I think about all those times with my guys, and trust me, we were out at shit ass bars drinking shit ass quarter beers in minor league towns, which are also college towns, and drinking rum and cokes or crappy ass shots of Doctor and stuff like that. And we've all grown up and matured and appreciate stuff like this now. And I want to share that with them and share the stories we used to have and where we are now and where we used to be and what happened in between. And that's the beauty of this. It doesn't have to be sports. It can be anything from your life, whether it's some old college friends, some old high school friends, somebody you grew up with. You get them down there, it's that experience. You get to share it, like that moment. You're talking about those moments. You're going to remember that moment going to somebody's house, popping something you ain't never had, and being able to taste it and not drop $50 or $40, that you don't want to spend on it. But I'm going to make sure you have, because I'm gaining as much of an experience as you are.
Yeah.
And I'm going to remember that forever.
Well, it's fun too.
It's
fun too when you pour. It's fun too when you pour something right for a friend, and they're new to whiskey or they're new to that kind of thing, and it's their first time, and you get to see the expression on their face, whether or not it's a good expression or a bad expression. It's really fun, right? To like share that and be like, here's something that I think maybe you might like because of this, and this. See if you get this, see if you get that, and kind of like, opening them up to things that maybe they thought that wasn't their jam or whatever. Like, I think that's a really fun part of it. Like, for me, I don't have a lot of friends here in Utah, surprising, that are big whiskey drinkers. Yeah. So it's been more about like introducing
more of like a bottled water community kind of place, eh?
Yeah, they have drive-through soda places here, which is
we have drive-through daiquiri places here.
That's right.
No.
I'm probably hitting the daiquiri place before the soda place. Yeah. I mean, just gonna be honest.
I've never gone, but I spent literally 2 years looking at those places, going, "Is that really what I think it is?" It's like, yeah, it's drive-through soda.
Yeah, there's a couple places in central and southern Illinois that are actually drive-through liquor stores.
I've seen that in Wyoming. Nick and I have gone up.
Just go to Kentucky. They're all drive-through there. If it's a small mom and pop in Kentucky, I mean, I guess you can have road sodas and everything. I guess, I don't know. I mean, hell, may as well. I mean, if you can drive through, who's to stop you from cracking it on the way home? I guess,
Yeah, you might drive through a horse farm. All the land out there. Yeah. Many times I've been through there, you got distilleries and you have those big, huge acreages that you never see any horses on. So
or police. Like, that's one thing in Kentucky. You go there, like, I don't even hardly. I mean, I can probably count on one hand the amount of times I've driven around that state and never see police officers or anything. I don't even know if they have police in Kentucky, to be honest. So.
They might be hidden behind the billboards still, taking a
sneeze. That's true. I don't see any state police, anything driving through there.
Yeah,
that's true.
Here you go. Where's Nick at? Oh no, that's not it. Sorry, hang on.
Yeah, Cheech posted that. He knows I'm going to be in Davenport, Iowa next weekend, so
he's in another room because of the lag. It screws with him.
It's on.
Who's Nick?
So he's watching you from another room.
Yeah, Nick's my husband, and we live in an apartment. Like, that's why I'm like not participating in like the fancy more expensive whiskeys. Like we are on a lower budget. I just graduated from grad school. So, and I'm doing a postdoc, which is not high paying. So we're not rolling in the dough, but he's just in another room to watch it because of the.
Well, hello. I gotta say
live.
hi. I gotta say hi to Nick in the other room.
Yeah.
So hi, Nick.
Yeah. Everybody say hi to Nick.
That should be his new. That should be his new handle. That should be his new handle. Nick in the other room.
Nick in the other room.
Amazing. That
would be great.
The Linux cat has never stopped giving him a hard time because on my first and only ever live, I yelled at him. I was like, "Nick, be useful," and ever since, Nick, are you being useful? So yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
You guys could be doing streams at the same time. You could have yours going on. He could be doing Nick from another room.
Yeah.
You're
you could just
overestimating
cross stream. You could cross streams Ghostbusters style and
pass off
some bourbons.
Never cross. Yeah, never cross the stream.
No, not to cross the streams.
Never cross the stream. So. All right, hour and 40 minutes in. That was a good old time. So I mean, hey, I think if nothing else, the main thing was to get some people understanding more about you guys and your channels. And I think we did that. I mean, hopefully hey, if you come out of this with not getting negative subscribers, I'll be happy. Okay.
Right.
So
right.
If you gained one and I didn't create something that took viewers away from you guys, then I feel bad. But so no, but
one thing I can promise, these 3 channels, you will be entertained.
Yep.
Yes.
You will be entertained.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all great stuff in a completely different way and format. And that's the best part of it. You can find no matter what the whiskey channel is, I think you can always find a little something in you in that channel, no matter what it is, as crazy, as subdued, whatever it may be, you can always find a little something. And at the end of the day, you still have to appreciate that people are taking the time to create the content, do live streams, whatever that stuff may be, because it's a lot of time and money that gets invested in all of these, and it becomes a fun outlet that we enjoy sharing with everybody who's in the chat and who leaves comments and all of that. So from like me to all of you guys, I've appreciated everything along the way, and I appreciate new channels and meeting people. So kudos to you guys.
Big shout out to you, Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
By the
way, I've got 12 new subscribers tonight, so no negatives here. Thank you, sir.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
But much props to you and for all you do for the whiskey community and for what you've done for all 3 of us tonight. I can't say thank you enough. It's been great getting to know you over the last couple months on and off here, some conversations and stuff, and in the live chats. And I look forward to meeting Troy a little more. Adriana, I've been on with you on some different channels quite a bit lately, so I've got to know you a little bit. But like everybody here, for me, it's that experience, making new friends, friendships, sharing some great spirits, some great stories, and celebrating America.
You got
baseball and bourbon.
Yep.
You got it. I guess before we sign off and everything, why don't each of you just again tell everybody where they can find you, your channel, all of that good stuff, whatever you want to share.
Adriana, you want to go first? You do.
Sure.
Yeah.
Adriana Rodriguez, Adriana. I'm Whiskey Mountains. You can find me on YouTube or Instagram. I don't really do much on Instagram. It's mostly just to support my YouTube. Or you'll just find my regular Instagram, which is really boring. And I hike and drink whiskey in Utah, of all places. So that's about it. And I'm Puerto Rican, not Mexican. That's it.
and definitely check her out. Subscribe to the channel. Trust me, it's worth it. Whether you like whiskey or not, I mean, watching it from an entertainment value and the scenery, incredible.
And I always include bloopers at the end because I am not a serious person, but it's kind of hard sometimes to review the whiskey without just being serious about the notes or whatever. So I do try to keep it light, but still pretty because I'm too cheap to afford lighting and whatever nonsense inside my apartment. So it's easier to just go on a hike. Yeah.
Well, I'm Troy, St. Bernard, Louisiana, originally from right here, a little bit outside of New Orleans. My channel is for two things: to educate and to entertain. Everybody's having fun drinking whiskey. Come check me out. Pop them, don't watch them. And I'm on Instagram at pop'em_don't_watch them. The Instagram is more for, everyday pictures. And, my wife does the Instagram. She's good at that stuff. But everyday pictures and, reviews on whiskeys that I'm not getting to YouTube yet. And then, go ahead and watch some of the older videos on YouTube. I have some great reviews on there. If you're on the fence about a certain, check it out. It might help you make an informed, educated decision. That's another thing I'm trying to do. Educate you. The history of it, the history of the distillery, the bourbon. You're not just buying blonde. I'm trying to educate you. You're spending your hard-earned money. Know what you're buying. And that's what we're trying to do on the channel.
Yep. The Jimmy Buffer of the whiskey tube community.
My whiskey of the year video, I had a bourbon of the year and the whiskey of the year. Those were pretty entertaining. I went all out for those, but the whiskey of the year, that was at the Circle Bar. My buddy Jared, that's actually his house. The whiskey of the year 2020. That's the Michael Buffer video. If y'all want to go watch that UFC style video.
It was pretty good. It was good. Chris, what about you, buddy?
Me, by night, I'm Big League Bourbon. We are a baseball and bourbon, the two most American things you can possibly come across, where I bring in former minor league baseball players and former major league baseball players to talk a little bit about bourbon and pull the curtain back on baseball. So you get the behind the scenes stories. You get to know a little bit more about the guys other than just being athletes, and see how they're no different than me and you any day of the week. They're just everyday guys who love all the same stuff we do, but they get to play a game for a living. By day, I'm Bland-Aid Design. You can find me on Instagram for that as well. I do graphic design and illustration, work with a bunch of channels. We also do video editing, all kinds of fun stuff. It's crazy. So that one's Bland-Aid Design. My channel for this, Big League Bourbon. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, all under the same name. So those are the two channels that you can check out. And hey, keep it real, everybody. Enjoy.
That's the main thing. Well, thanks everybody for joining tonight. Everybody who watched, I hope everyone goes and subscribes to all of them. Again, we've talked about it as to why and all of that. So, it's just sharing, it's being part of the community, it's understanding what it is you're watching and why, all of that. So that's the most important part is the sharing part, whether it's whiskey or other channels with other people, and getting everybody to understand what it's all about is the best thing. So with that, cheers everybody. Next week, what do I have going on? I think next week is actually a little more cigar content. So this is right up Adriana's alley. So little bit of pairings. It'll be bourbon cigar talk with some of the guys from cigarclub.com and all of that. So it'll still be a little bit of whiskey and some cigars and all that. I know. I see she's judging me. She is judging me. I'll tell you, I can see it in her.
What's hilarious is, so I did my PhD in cancer research, but at the same time, my husband's birthday is coming up, and I'm like, what are good cigars to get him? So, I'm just promoting his cancer. So
I won't judge on
everything in moderation.
You got it. Everything in moderation. So guys, thanks for joining tonight. I hope everything. I hope you get 1 million subscribers after all this, but you all deserve it. You all deserve it. I'll tell you that. So, and then everybody in the chat, thank you so much. Everybody for the super chat. Thank you for watching, all of the support. And I'll be back next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Thanks everybody. And we will see you guys next Tuesday. Cheers.
Cheers everybody. Appreciate y'all tuning in.
Bye guys. Thank you so much.